Hey, good morning, guys. This is Nate from RunDreamAchieve.com. Hope you guys are having a great start to your week and had a great weekend. Today's video, I wanted to make 10K running tips for beginners. I just made the previous video about 10K and how to run a faster 10K on race day, but there are also athletes out there, and you may be one of them, that are brand new to the sport or maybe have never run a 10K before. The thing you really got to keep in mind is, as a beginner, you can run a great 10K and you can run well over the 10-kilometer distance just on basic mileage. If you're staying consistent on a weekly basis, building your mileage out, getting your long runs out to longer durations. Okay, so for a 10K athlete that's preparing for their first 10K, maybe a long run for you might be 8 miles to 10 miles. So really, the biggest component to being successful over the 10-kilometer race distance is building that stamina up and building your endurance. There are a lot more technical aspects of running a 10-kilometer race the faster you get. Say if you're trying to break 40 minutes, there are specific training fundamentals you need to follow in order to get that race pace to feel not so aggressive, and that's really the key, because a lot of athletes have issues sustaining race pace for the entire duration of their race. They can hold it for maybe 50% of it or maybe 60% of the event, but then they start to slow down in the latter stages of the race. And I dealt with that too over the years. My main event was really the marathon distance, but I did run 31:09 for the 10K event. And I understand how quick this race is. I mean, it's only 6.2 miles or 10 kilometers. It's over like that. So building your mileage is and being consistent and staying focused over the long periods of time can really make you successful over the 10-kilometer race distance. As you get fitter, your heart's not going to have to work as hard. You can run longer periods of time at a more consistent effort, and you're not going to build up as much lactic acid because your body has obviously built up and become calloused from the training you're doing. Obviously, if you're brand new to the sport, you don't necessarily need to do a ton of speed work in order to run a 10K and start a 10K and finish a 10K. So as you lead into 2021, if you're brand new to running, or maybe you've run 5Ks, or you're more of a track athlete, maybe you're an 800 meter, 1500 meter athlete, the 10K race is more of it's a combination of aerobic and anaerobic event. So you have it's long enough where you can, if you go out too fast, you can kind of make up for it and make those adjustments in your race, as opposed to, say, like the mile. If you go out too fast in a mile, I mean, it can really screw you up, because you can really go into really high oxygen debt and really suffer in those last few meters of the race. But and really, this same principle goes hand in hand with all of the events. Really, if you go out too fast in any event, you're going to really pay for it. So, but the longer the distance, the more you can kind of adjust your pacing in the race. Really, as I talk about this in other videos, I think it's really important that you continue to build your base, stay consistent. Also focus on your hydration practices in training. If you're doing your long runs, try taking in a little bit more fluid. Try maybe taking in a couple gels during your long runs, just to experience how your body and how your stomach is gonna react to you doing that, as opposed to waiting until race day and maybe not drinking hardly anything in the race or taking in any gels in the race, and really suffer. And that's what I definitely don't want for you guys. The 10K is such a short race, you may not necessarily need to take gels in a race of that particular distance, but definitely in the half marathon and the marathon distance. I would definitely, because it's 6.2 miles or 10 kilometers, maybe take a gel at the 5K point if you can, or hold one of those gels in your shorts, and make sure you take one in, because that's about 100 to 150 calories of immediate energy that it's going to go directly into your bloodstream, and that really might make the difference, as opposed to other athletes that either aren't drinking in the race or aren't taking in any additional calories in the race. So 10K running tips for beginners. I thought this was a good topic because there are so many athletes, and I talk to athletes of all backgrounds on RunDreamAchieve.com, as well as here on the videos, that are very experienced, that are very accomplished athletes. But there's also athletes, and you might be one of them, that are brand new, either brand new to the sport or have never run a 10K before. It's a great event. Again, you can pace yourself. I think it's really key to definitely pace yourself in this particular race. Don't focus so much on how fast you're running early on. You can back off and hold back through the 5K point, and then really try to aim at really picking up your pace in those last 5K, the last 5 kilometers of the race, because that's really the point where a lot of athletes in this particular event start to really slow down, and where you can really pick up. And I think that as you maintain the pace and your competition is starting to slow down, if you have been patient enough and been disciplined enough to hold back in the first half of this particular event, it's really going to pay a big it's really going to pay you back in the latter stages of the race, when everybody else is slowing down and you're maintaining or picking up your pace. So I think that's very critical to run a 10K, especially if you're a beginner. And like I mentioned in other videos too, don't get bent out of shape, and don't beat yourself up if you don't have a great build-up, or if you're having a few bad workouts. You never know what's going to happen on race day. If you follow a proper plan. Now, I have a lot of different 10-kilometer training programs on RunDreamAchieve.com that may be of interest to you. I'll leave some resources below this video that are there for you. I have numerous articles I've written on training for the 10K, as well as a lot of different videos here on the channel as well that you can check out that are free as well. So a lot of different options for you guys. My main role as a online coach and peer and mentor to you guys is to really just kind of give you guys feedback that's really going to make a difference in your 10-kilometer racing in 2021. Always continue to focus on the things that you can control. You can't control what the weather's going to be like, but you can control what you say to yourself on the morning of the race. If everybody else around you is stressed out and nervous, it's normal to be nervous, but it's also can be detrimental if you're overly stressed out and tense. Always do your best in training. Practice the way you want to run in training first. That way you get to the race and there's nothing that you haven't experienced in training that anybody in the race can throw at you. I think that really goes a long way. I've always had that philosophy in my own training, running either the mile when I was in high school or the 2 mile in high school, all the way up to the marathon distance. I was always trying to stay as relaxed as I possibly could and trying to outwit and outsmart my competition, because everybody around me I knew was stressed out and nervous too. And it is okay to be a little bit nervous, but also be confident, be patient in the early stages of your 10K race. Don't go out too fast, especially if you're a beginner. You're kind of new to this particular event, so it is new territory for you guys. So don't try to win this 10K in the first couple miles of the race. There are far too many athletes that go way too fast in the early stages of every race, and they always pay for it. And I've also made the mistake too. I remember running a half marathon in Virginia, and I actually didn't finish the half because I went out way too fast. At this early stages of my career, went out in 9:27 the first 2 miles of a half marathon with Ryan Hall. So we all know Ryan Hall is a 2:04 marathoner, the American record holder for the half marathon at 59:43. So I had to learn my lesson too, and I've made mistakes too on pacing. Even when I was in high school, I would always go out way too fast. I had to adjust and learn those mistakes to run my best over the 10K all the way up to the marathon distance. And that was having that same discipline to back off, slow down also on easy days when I was in training, because you have to recover from your hard workouts, whether you're doing track workouts or you're doing road tempos or fartlek efforts on the roads, or you're doing hill repeats. Your body has to have time to recover from the hard anaerobic workouts you're doing. Okay, so follow a plan, whether it's investing in a plan for yourself, or study what the best athletes are doing. Learn what their tactics are and simply duplicate their work habits. It's one of the best pieces of advice I can give in terms of 10K running tips for beginners. Is study what anybody in either in your sport or maybe you have a hobby, or maybe you're in business, or you have something that you're interested in. Study what those people are doing or those athletes are doing to get to do what you want to do, whether it's running your first 10K or breaking 50 minutes for the 10K, or maybe breaking 35 minutes, something very aggressive like that. So I hope this particular video has been helpful for you guys, especially if you're a beginner. Again, you probably already have some background in the sport. Maybe you've run the 5K or maybe the 3K or 1 mile. Maybe you're more of a track athlete, 400-meter athlete, middle distance runner. The 10K is a great event. You're going to have great competition regardless of where you run your 10K, either on the tracks or on the roads. Their 10Ks usually just about every other weekend or every weekend around the country. So definitely get out there, pace yourself, be consistent, be motivated. Know that what you're doing is going to be tough. It's going to be challenging, but if you pace yourself early in the early stages of the race, you're going to be able to finish that 10K in record pace, and you're going to get to the finish line in a probably a new. Obviously, if you're running your first, it's going to be a new personal best. If you run well over the 5K distance, you're going to run well over the 10K. It's not drastically different, but does still involve speed, a combination of speed, stamina, strength, and endurance. So you have to definitely focus on all the principles of training, getting on the track at least once per week, lengthening out your tempo runs. I don't want to go too specifics on that if you're more of a beginner, but if you guys have any questions, or you've never run a 10K, or you've run a 10K in the past, or maybe you're trying to get faster, leave me a comment below this video. I'll reach out to you guys and answer any questions or concerns you guys have. So hope you guys have a great week of training, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.